Today I fucked up by masturbating on VR. So, I live in a hostel with a shared room and I have a roommate who was out to his home. Let's call him A. Well, sounded like a perfect time to try out my new VR headsets and the ANC headsets I just bought. So, as a man of culture would do, I turned off the lights, selected a POV porn and made my bed for the first ever immersive experience. I was to become a man from a boy, virtually, but just one single problem. The latches on my room were broken, so you already know where it's going. But as a horny boy would, I closed the door and rammed a bed and a table against the door, thinking no one would open it. Now Mr. A has a friend B who comes to our room often to see him, and since A was out, there was no reason for B to come, right? Right? Well, it was my first time on VR, so I took off my clothes fully naked as the porn would have it and rubbing my Mr. Meeseek with my ANC headphones and lights off. Suddenly as I was about to come, I see some light coming off from the sides of my VR. I couldn't care less, but then some creaking noise slipped through. I took my headset and headphones off. There he was, Mr. B, watching in horror to what he witnessed as he opened the door with all his strength to check on if something was off, as the gate won't open. Needless to say, I am still inside my room with doors closed and an awkward silence. TLDR. Today I fucked up by masturbating on VR and having my friend walk in on me naked. Edit 1, for people on the shitty hostel, expensive gear situation. I am from India, so here the hostel comes mostly pre-packed with your college, so I was living in that. And the latch repair, well, I could have gotten repaired, but it was just not a big deal as when it was being shared with my roommate who was out of college and as the door locks from outside, so we didn't repair it as we were to get single room upgrades in a month or so. Corrected grammatical error as was ambushed by a grammar Nazi in the comments. Edit 2, read hostel as dormitory if you are not from India. No, it's not your fuck up, it's his. You did everything you possibly could to make sure nobody would see what had become a horror show. No wonder he was looking on in horror if you had Mr. Meeseek's captive. I wonder if he managed to take 2 strokes off his game. Did your homie at least offer to help? Then I guess this post would have been on some other subreddit. Haha, amazing. Who forces a door to someone's dorm/room? Maybe get a don't enter card like in hotels? Thoughtful face. Someone learned to knock today. The real question is how was the VR experience? I have never tried it. It's the saddest and greatest experience at the same time. Today I fucked up by not masturbating. Years ago I was a late bloomer when it came to the most common puberty hobby. Something about it just felt awkward, so I didn't do it despite unusually easy access to porn for a 14-year-old. Turns out no nut puberty has consequences. One day at the end of football practice I started having intense abdominal and groin pain. The pain was so intense I could barely walk. I'm from a small, rural area that was pretty much has a deal with it, shake off the pain attitude, so I just dealt with the pain for about a week. At the time I lived with my brother 24 and his then wife, since my mom was a truck driver. I still definitely noticed something was wrong, but I refused to acknowledge it and didn't tell her the full extent because I didn't want to admit to being weak or talk to a girl about my tenders. My will finally broke when my mom was home for the weekend. She suggested it could be a hernia, which freaked me out even more and led to me claiming I can just deal with it for the last 3 weeks of football. That didn't fly, so mom, bro, and I head to the ER. In our small town ER, one of the doctors was a Vietnam immigrant who is a fantastic doctor, but his broken English sometimes made communicating difficult. He tells me to drop my shorts as I look on in horror that my mom and bro were gonna see my wiener. After poking and prodding for a few minutes he leaves the room for what felt like an eternity. He comes back and starts trying to explain that I was suffering from a growing pain of puberty where my testes were overproducing semen, causing a backup. There was a lot of awkwardness as we sat there trying to fully grasp what the doctor was struggling to communicate, which was I needed to find a way to release the excess semen. Doc has them give me a pain shot and prescription that should help. While we are waiting on the pharmacist to arrive after 2 hours, I broke the silence in the truck by asking, did the doctor just say I need to jack off? Went to school the next day to tell my friends and coaches that I had a doctor's note to jerk it. Too long, didn't read, didn't masturbate at the start of of puberty, experienced severe abdominal pain, went to the doctor to be told I need to masturbate regularly. I sincerely hope you kept that note and have it framed or something. Haha, the note only said I had to miss practice and pay, it didn't specify why. A doctor's note to jerk it, that's fucking hilarious. I'm surprised your body didn't just expel it on its own by way of a nocturnal emission or premature ejaculation. Suffered an injury in high school and basically had no libido for a week or two, and when I realized, I thought, well, if I don't have the desire then I'm not gonna bother, keep my mind off sex and girls etc. Much to my chagrin, I had a nocturnal emission a couple nights later that I woke up from because I thought I was peeing the bed. There was so much jizz, like spooky ghost amounts. Glad I'm not the only one that was prescribed masturbation by a doctor. Lol. Ha ha ha, this is gonna be one of the weirder Facebook support groups. The absolute chat even showed to his coaches that he has a license to jerk. Today I fucked up by writing down inappropriate sayings for a sign and someone used them. This happened yesterday. I'm a manager at a plant nursery and we have a sign in the front of our parking that you change the letters on, and we change what's on it probably once every other week or so. Now usually we put something up on there that's somewhat edgy and funny, like we're so excited for spring we wet our plants and the owner thinks it's funny. Well, on Saturday it was a pretty slow day and I didn't have very much to do, so I figured I'd start to write down some new ideas for the front sign since we were starting a sale on B&B, bald and burlapped, trees the following day. I write down some normal ideas on a piece of paper like shady deals starting tomorrow and stuff like that. Then I start to run out of ideas since I need to fill up both sides of the sign with different things. So I write down balls to the wall deals and balls deep in your soil on the paper and get a good chuckle out of it. I knew I couldn't put anything like that on the sign, so I put one of the normal sayings on the one side and didn't touch the other side because I got heavily sidetracked. Now when I was writing down the other ideas, I thought I left them on my desk and figured that the people that worked on Sunday would change the other side with something similar to what I put up. That was not the case. I come back into work on Tuesday and didn't even see the sign since I use the back employee entrance and go on about my morning normally. Then I get a call from the operations manager saying how the sign needs to be changed because it's vulgar and inappropriate, and if someone writes something up there again like that then they would be in big trouble. I'm quite confused at this point because I have no idea what she's talking about, so I look at the sign in the front and see balls to the wall sales in big letters out front. I immediately start laughing and think it's hilarious but understand why it shouldn't be up. Turns out I didn't leave the paper on my desk and I left it out on the counter for all the other employees to see, and they thought that since it was from management that it should go onto the sign. Too long didn't read. I wrote down inappropriate sayings for the big sign at work thinking that no one would use them, and someone used them. When I worked at Subway in college, my manager wanted us to change the letterboard we put out by the road. I jokingly suggested rock out with your walkout, and she clearly didn't get the joke because she said that's good, put that out there. I could have done the right thing and told her that we probably shouldn't, but I just couldn't pass on the opportunity, so I did it. Customers loved it, corporate did not. I once saw a sign at a flower shop that said girls, girls, girls. Just kidding, flowers, and I laughed for a long time. Doesn't balls to the wall just mean full throttle all engines in either naval or aviation lingo, as in all levers full forward? You would be correct, it just often gets thought of as a sexual innuendo. For the record, you can definitely tell the complainer that they have a dirty mind and that neither the sayings balls out or balls to the walls have anything to do with reproductive organs. Balls out is definitely related to railroad, steam engine speed governors, and balls to the wall seems to be from World War II pilots ramming the throttle to the firewall. So there. Snicker, giggle, cry, we want a shrubbery. See how many people come in saying knee. That's not your fault. Surely someone would have questioned that. Also, balls to the walls wasn't bad. It's not like it said balls and burlapped tree sale, come get a feel of our fuzzy balls. Or we've got lots of balls and some big wood. I didn't think it was that bad either, could have been a lot worse of a saying on there.